you know, the government is still in the position of running in the red. So then what do we prioritize on to get back to the things that you think are important?
I shouldn't have to answer the question of how to handle the deficit that the government created. I'm not a government official. I wasn't elected into office to solve these problems. I'm a tax-paying citizen, a young person that is seeking opportunities in a system that is unable to provide it regardless of what the argument is. And I say that this system of capitalism has proven itself illegitimate, and it cannot provide basic things like education, shelter, health care.
That was Darlita Scruggs in an interview earlier today with Neil Cavuto. Scruggs is the organizer of the Million Student March, and they're actually pushing for free college tuition. And I'm saying right now, this is part and parcel of that central issue for the 2016 election, the revolt against capitalism and the establishment, the greedy establishment. Joining me now, Peter Morici and Steve Cortes. Peter, you know, I got to tell you, she contradicted herself several times there, but the passion is there, and obviously this is a movement sweeping across the nation where people feel like corporations are too greedy and the government should do more.
Well, think about the situation these kids are in. They're encouraged by the President of the United States to borrow huge amounts of money to go to college so they'll have a future. When in reality, we already have too many people in college, more than the economy can absorb, and some 40% of our graduates don't learn much of anything in college anyway. So they basically leave. They end up working at Starbucks if they're lucky. The woman you just saw might not even get that. She's a McDonald's candidate because she's so poorly spoken. So you can't blame them for being angry. The economy isn't functioning because of all this socialism in the first place.
So, Steve, I guess the answer is more socialism. More, take a $7 job and make it a $15 job. I mean, that's what they're arguing for.
Right. Right. No, and Charles, listen, I do agree with Peter. I understand their anger, but their solution couldn't be more wrong-headed. Look, one of the reasons that America is the nation it is because in decades past, American universities were stepping stones where those with intellectual curiosity and hustle could improve their lot in life. American universities today have become nurseries for coddled, entitled children who refuse to become adults, and it's time for us to end that nonsense as taxpayers, as parents, and as Americans.
And yet here we are on the cusp, perhaps, of nominating a socialist for the Democratic Party. Bernie Sanders has overwhelming popularity, particularly with young people. We could ignore it because we're all sort of in the same choir here, but we can't not say it's not a real thing that's happening here, Peter.
Well, look at American university presidents. They think the kinds of things that are coming out of the mouth of Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton are long overdue. You know, they're for all kinds of movements that basically are seditious, like, you know, Black Lives Matters. I mean, it's something that's very popular with American university presidents. I can remember my president, after the events in Baltimore, encouraging my students to go out and protest in the streets. Well, you don't get an education that way, you don't contribute to public order, and you certainly do not solve the problems of society or the very prescient problems these students face of simply getting an education and getting a job. I mean, our universities are just producing what you just saw, people who can chant slogans.
Steve, real quick. You know, I actually think the problem is deeper. We talk about this education. I don't think we're producing high school graduates who really have the wherewithal to become good college students to begin with.
Right. Well, you know, how about this, Charles? How about let the free market work? How about school choice? Why does government have a near monopoly on certainly lower education and even higher education to a large degree? Let's let the free market work. By the way, I would argue to you Americans were far better educated before the federal government got involved at all in education. Let's try returning to that because we know the status quo isn't working.
Thanks a lot, guys. You both are fantastic. Really appreciate it.